Hello, and thank you for joining me for the short presentation about self-imposed limitations and core beliefs. My name is Jason McGill. I'm a therapist and founder of Salus Personal Solutions. We force limitations on ourselves all the time for any number of reasons. Mostly we've been made to believe that limitations are bad. Don't let things get in our way. Not the evil bad, just something that prevents us from self-actualizing or becoming the best that we possibly can be at something. I'm speaking mainly of our self-prescribed limitations. We all have our own physical and mental limitations, and these, for the sake of argument, are innate. We're born with these limitations set for us genetically, barring any unforeseen circumstance that may further limit our abilities, like an accident. But what if all self-prescribed limitations aren't bad? To see things this way, we just need a change in our perspective. For example, if I said, I really want to travel more, but I just don't have enough money, I've created a limitation for myself. I've conjured up a figure in my head that will make me comfortable pursuing more travel. While it does take money to travel, especially if you're traveling abroad, there are many exciting destinations that can be within reach, a couple hours from your home, with a little creativity and loosening of those restrictions you've created. However, if you're driving on your road trip and you're traveling down this beautiful, picturesque road here, and an inconsiderate driver, someone who's texting and driving, they're just not paying attention, they accidentally run you off the road, and you happen to be one of these people that's prone to anger easily and uncontrollably, what limitations have you set for yourself that are actually a good thing? Have you agreed you will honk, yell, and scream profanities? Maybe that it's okay to do all those things and then catch up to the driver and show them your displeasure by giving them a good one-fingered salute. What about returning the favor? Would you run them off the road? Worse? This is where self-prescribed limitations are a good thing. Even without laws, human beings tend to set their own restrictions, lines drawn that they just won't cross. I want to tell you a personal story that illustrates the setting of personal limitations and how it can be a very good thing. I rarely talk about my family, and I really rarely ever talk about my grandfather, and I think you'll understand why once you hear the story. My grandfather was a very rough and tumble kind of guy. He grew up in a very small town with 4 brothers. His Irish father was an abusive alcoholic. His mother must have been born of granite and fire to deal with all the trouble those boys caused in that small town and all the added chaos at home. So my grandfather, he enlisted in the Navy and served his country during the Korean War. And after his return, he became an iron worker and, like his father, an abusive alcoholic. And he was more emotionally and mentally abusive than physically abusive. He was very critical of everyone, but never took time to look in the mirror. So, my grandfather was also a bigot and a racist. I would cringe every time he used derogatory terms for nearly every walk of life on earth. And no one in our family used those types of words in that language. It was only him. My grandmother and my mother would often get after him and tell him to stop, to no avail. And my grandfather was a very stubborn man, and I guess that fits with the character flaws I've described. So, I must have been about 22 or 23 at the time. I met my mother and grandmother and grandfather for brunch at a country club my grandfather belonged to. I forget the occasion. I remember it was nice out. I'm guessing it was for a Mother's Day brunch. And the country club had a deck off of the bar where members could look out over the back 9 holes and enjoy a meal or drinks. And we're looking at a picture of the country club here, and you can see the deck I'm talking about, and it's decorated with flags, and it looks like maybe it's set for 4th of July. So we're out here on this deck overlooking the putting green and the back 9 holes, and my grandfather said he wanted to show me something. And while my mother and grandmother talked, he pulled a pocket knife out of his pants pocket. I was expecting to see an Ironworkers Union or Navy engraving on the handle, something I was accustomed to seeing and accustomed to hearing my grandfather proudly discuss. What I saw instead shocked me beyond words, so much so that all these years later, I still remember how it was such an awkward moment in my life. Engraved on the handle was a swastika and a KKK insignia of some type. This isn't the actual knife here, but just to give you an example. So, while my grandfather had never apologized for his language or his beliefs, and was quite outspoken about them to the point of utter disappointment, dismay, and embarrassment to his family, he never once made mention of the KKK or any other hateful organization or group. To the contrary, actually, when I said my grandfather was critical of everyone, I meant it. No one was safe. Religion, government, any organization, any stranger, his own family, even Girl Scouts weren't safe. So not only was I shocked to see this knife, I was starting to question everything I knew about my grandfather. I remember hoping that he didn't want to give me the knife because I would have just burnt it or thrown it in the trash, only to be asked about it later, I'm sure. And I remember thinking, oh man, I hope I'm not at some perfect age for an indoctrination of some kind. I am not ready for anything like that. I have no interest in anything like that at all. So, actually, he ends up telling me that he won the knife in a card game off of this man he played cards with. Then, in true fashion, he went on to call the man every name in the book and went on to trash the KKK. So, in spite of his own feelings and convictions, he had a self-prescribed limitation set, a line he would not cross. And this was a very good thing in my mind. So, even though he had some major flaws, he was a good grandfather to me. And I'm glad my mother and my grandmother did most of my raising, so I didn't turn out to be like him, but I miss him all the same. And it's taken me this long to realize that in his own way, he was imparting a lesson to me. At least that's what I took away. I think in his own way, he wanted me to know that he had very strong opinions, but was human after all. And joining an organization like that was never acceptable. He never had to worry about me actually doing such a thing, but the message is bigger than that. What I took away was that no matter how strongly you feel about something, there are lines you just don't cross. Self-prescribed, self-imposed limitations can be a good thing. They can keep us in check, and they make sure we're living and working within our belief system. When we begin to wander outside of that system, it can make us feel broken and as if something is missing. There are so many experts out there that will tell you that you need to break free of limitations to succeed beyond your wildest dreams, right? No limits. This is true if we're talking about self-imposed limitations that need to be challenged because they're based on things like fear, disinformation, or any other maladaptive thinking process that causes a person to give up before they even try. However, I think you can see how taken the wrong way, this can also be a very dangerous idea and a very dangerous mindset when taken out of context. You only have to read or watch the news to see examples of dangerous people creating their own meaning out of context. Change is a process. Change is a journey. And before anyone begins a new process, they read the directions. Before anyone begins a new journey, they map their way out. So, this is also true of personal development and transformational change. Before you can truly begin this journey, you need to know what roads you're traversing. I want you to start by identifying what cognitive behavioral therapy calls your core beliefs. On paper, I want you to put pen or pencil to paper. It's much more meaningful to write this out by hand. There's much more of a transformational change that occurs when you do this than typing on a computer. Typing on a computer, you can be taken away by a Facebook status update or something like that. I want you to be totally focused on what you're writing here. I want you to fill in the following. I am, ? The world is, ? My family is, ? My relationships are, ? Others are, ? You can print out these slides and use them to write on if you need to. This is going to help you discover your views about yourself, others, the world around you, and your future. These beliefs can either enhance the things that look better than they are, or they distort them to look worse than they are, these self-defeating beliefs. The point of the exercise is to get to know yourself, your core beliefs, and identify negative beliefs so that you can change what can be changed and know what can't, so you can come to terms with that. The sooner you can accept these things, the sooner you'll be able to see positive changes occurring. Who is at the root of the true you? And what self-imposed limitations are stopping you in negative ways? And which ones are beneficial and should stay? For more information and valuable resources, please visit our website at salispersonalsolutions.com. Thank you for watching.